This video is about identity, about courage, about people who refuse to disappear just because the world told them to. LGBTQ is not a trend, not a headline, not a debate topic. It's a human story, a long one, a painful one, a powerful one. Today we're going to talk about where the story began, how it survived centuries of silence and punishment, and why it still matters right now. This is not about asking for permission. It's about recognizing truth. Before we talk about pride, confidence, and self-belief, we need to understand the roots. Because motivation without context is hollow. Strength comes from knowing you're not alone, and that millions before you stood exactly where you're standing now, scared but unbroken. Long before modern labels existed, LGBTQ people existed. In ancient civilizations, same-sex relationships and gender diversity were documented, respected, and sometimes even celebrated. In parts of ancient Greece, love between men was written into philosophy. In indigenous cultures across the world, gender-fluid identities were honored as spiritual roles. These people didn't see themselves as broken. They were simply human. It was later, through rigid power systems, colonization, and fear-driven religion, that love became something to punish. History didn't erase LGBTQ people. It buried them. And yet, even buried, they survived. The modern LGBTQ movement didn't start because people wanted attention. It started because people were tired of being hunted, arrested, and erased. In the 20th century, simply existing as gay or transgender could cost you your job, your family, even your life. Then came resistance. Quiet at first, then louder. Moments like the Stonewall Uprising weren't planned speeches. They were raw reactions to injustice. Ordinary people saying, "Enough." That moment didn't create LGBTQ people. It revealed them. It gave fear a face and courage a voice. This video exists for one reason: to remind you that your existence is not an accident. Whether you're out, questioning, hidden, or still afraid, your story is part of something bigger than you. Motivation isn't pretending life is easy. It's choosing to stand anyway. In the next scenes, we'll talk about the battles, the breakthroughs, the internal wars, and the strength it takes to live honestly in a world that still resists change. This is not just history. This is momentum, and you are part of it. For a long time, being LGBTQ meant living a double life, one face for the world, one truth locked away in silence. People learned early that honesty could be dangerous. Families disowned their own children. Laws criminalized love. Doctors labeled identity as illness. This wasn't ancient history. This was recent. And in many places, it's still happening. Imagine waking up every day knowing that the simplest truth about you could cost everything. That kind of pressure doesn't just hurt the body. It reshapes the mind. Yet even under that weight, people kept going. Quietly, carefully. Courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like survival. The world often talks about LGBTQ struggles as abstract issues, but these struggles live inside real people. Teenagers who learn to lie before they learn to love. Adults who spend decades shrinking themselves to make others comfortable. Trans people forced to explain their existence just to be treated with basic respect. The damage wasn't only physical or legal. It was emotional. Being told repeatedly that you are wrong does something deep, and yet many still found ways to hold on to themselves. That alone is strength, even if no one applauded it. Then came visibility. Slow, imperfect, and often dangerous. Every person who came out before it was safe made it safer for the next one. Every artist, activist, and ordinary worker who refused to hide chipped away at the fear. Visibility wasn't about fame. It was about proof. Proof that LGBTQ people exist in every profession, culture, and family. Proof that being honest doesn't destroy society. It strengthens it. Each visible life became a quiet form of motivation for someone watching from the shadows, thinking, maybe I can survive too. But progress never moves in a straight line. Backlash always follows visibility. Every step forward is met with resistance. That's not failure. That's evidence of impact. The existence of opposition means change is happening. And here's the truth many don't say clearly enough. You don't owe anyone comfort at the expense of your identity. Motivation in this space isn't about becoming fearless. It's about moving forward while fear is still present. In the next scene, we'll talk about internal strength, the kind no law can grant and no critic can take away. The hardest fight many LGBTQ people face isn't with laws or strangers. It's with the voice inside their own head, the one that learned fear early, the one that asks what they find out, or what if I'm wrong about myself? That voice didn't appear by accident. It was taught through jokes, through silence, through rejection disguised as concern. When the world keeps questioning your right to exist, self-doubt starts to feel normal. And yet, recognizing that voice for what it is, conditioning, not truth, is the first real act of power. Self-acceptance is not a single moment. It's a process. Some days you feel strong. Other days, old fears resurface. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. Motivation culture often pretends confidence is permanent. It's not. Confidence is built slowly, through repetition, through choosing honesty again and again, even when it's uncomfortable. For LGBTQ people, simply saying this is who I am can feel revolutionary, not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. Shame thrives in isolation. It weakens when shared. That's why community matters so much. Finding even one person who sees you without trying to change you can shift everything. Chosen family isn't replacement for love. It's proof that love adapts. LGBTQ communities didn't form because people wanted separation. They formed because safety was scarce. In those spaces, people learned how to breathe again, how to laugh freely, how to imagine a future without apology. Here's something important to hear clearly. You don't need to earn your worth. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to soften it. Existing honestly is not selfish. It's necessary. Motivation isn't about becoming someone else. It's about refusing to disappear. In the next scene, we'll talk about resilience, not the romantic kind, but the real kind built through rejection, loss, and still choosing to move forward. Resilience in the LGBTQ experience isn't polished or inspirational looking. It's practical. It's getting up after rejection and still going to work. It's loving yourself on days when the world makes that difficult. Many LGBTQ people didn't grow strong because life encouraged them. They grew strong because life tested them early and often. When rejection comes from strangers, it hurts. When it comes from family, it cuts deeper. And yet, countless people learn to rebuild from that pain, not because they want to be strong, but because giving up wasn't an option. Failure and loss are often hidden parts of this story. Relationships that ended because it wasn't safe. Careers delayed because honesty came with consequences. Dreams put on pause. Motivation here isn't pretending those losses didn't matter. It's acknowledging them without letting them define the future. Resilience is learning that your timeline doesn't have to match anyone else's. That surviving first gives you the right to thrive later. Progress doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for persistence. Some of the strongest LGBTQ voices today were once the quietest people in the room, not because they lacked strength, but because they were learning where it was safe to use it. Strength isn't always confrontation. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's strategic silence. Knowing when to speak and when to protect yourself is wisdom, not weakness. Motivation doesn't mean rushing your journey. It means respecting your own pace while refusing to lose direction. Resilience also means allowing yourself joy. Joy is not a distraction from struggle. It's evidence that struggle didn't win. Celebrating small victories, a first honest conversation, a moment of peace, a step toward independence matters. You're not defined only by what you endured. You are also defined by what you chose to protect inside yourself. In the next scene, we'll talk about pride, not as a slogan, but as self-respect earned through survival. Pride was never meant to be loud just for attention. It was meant to be visible because invisibility was killing people. Pride is what remains after shame fails. It's the moment someone stops asking, "What's wrong with me?" and starts asking, "Why was I taught to hate myself?" That shift is powerful. Pride doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means you no longer see yourself as a problem that needs fixing. For many LGBTQ people, Pride begins quietly, in private, in a mirror, in a decision to stop apologizing for existing. That internal shift matters more than any parade. The world often misunderstands pride. It calls it arrogance, rebellion, or exaggeration. But pride is self-respect under pressure. It's choosing dignity in a system that tried to erase it. When someone walks openly as who they are, they're not asking to be celebrated. They're refusing to be diminished. Pride is built from years of silence, fear, and endurance. It's the result of surviving long enough to say, I'm still here. That alone is motivation, not just for others watching, but for the person living it every single day. Pride doesn't look the same for everyone. For some, it's coming out publicly. For others, it's staying alive in a hostile place. For some, it's transition. For others, it's simply choosing honesty with themselves. There is no single correct version, and that matters. Motivation grows when people realize they don't need to copy someone else's courage. They need to honor their own. Comparison steals that truth. Pride restores it. It reminds you that your journey, exactly as it is, counts. Here's the part rarely said clearly enough. You are not behind. You didn't fail because your path took longer. You didn't lose because you needed time. Pride teaches patience with yourself. Motivation grows when pressure eases, when survival is no longer mistaken for weakness. Your story doesn't need to impress anyone. It needs to sustain you. In the final scene, we'll talk about the future, not as a promise from society, but as something you actively claim step by step. The future of LGBTQ lives is not something handed down by governments, trends, or approval. It's built daily by ordinary people choosing not to disappear. Progress doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives in fragments. Safer conversations, stronger boundaries, small freedoms stacked over time. The future isn't perfect. It's contested, but it's real. And it's shaped by every person who decides that their life is worth living honestly, even when that honesty costs something. Motivation here isn't hope without action. It's action sustained by belief. If you're watching this while questioning yourself, hear this clearly. Confusion does not cancel legitimacy. Fear does not invalidate truth. You are allowed to take time. You are allowed to protect yourself. Strength isn't measured by speed or volume. It's measured by continuity, the choice to keep going. Some people change the world loudly. Others change it by refusing to break. Both matter. Your present alone pushes against a history that tried to erase people like you. To those who are already standing openly, your existence matters more than you realize. You don't know who is watching you survive, and learning that survival is possible. Representation isn't performance. It's proof. Proof that life continues. Proof that joy exists beyond fear. Proof that authenticity doesn't end stories. It begins them. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. That's how momentum builds. That's how change lasts. This story doesn't end with approval. It ends with ownership. Your life is not a debate. Your identity is not a phase. Your value is not conditional. Motivation, at its core, is choosing to stay present in your own life, to speak when it's safe, to rest when it's not, to move forward anyway. History shows that LGBTQ people have always existed. The present proves they endure. The future belongs to those who refuse to vanish. And that includes you